go, sorry. And then they're like, oh, shingles.
I took care of a lady that had them, and she was.
Councilwoman.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm good.
Good, good. You look great.
Thank you.
To call to order the Tuesday, April 5th meeting of the Danville City Council. Madam Clerk, roll call to establish a quorum, please.
Mayor Ricky Williams Jr.,
Present.
Alderman Heidi Wilson,
Present.
Carolyn Wands,
Present.
James Bouchard,
Present.
Bob Iverson,
Present.
Brenda Brown,
Present.
Mike O'Kane,
Here.
Mike Poor,
Present.
Rick Streebing,
Here.
Sherry Pickering,
Here.
Ethan Burt,
Present.
Eve Ludwig,
Present.
Tricia Teague, present, Robert Williams,
Present.
Darren York,
Present.
14 present.
14 present. We do have a quorum. At this time, we will have the invocation led by Pastor Doug Knapp, who's filling in for Pastor Ryan Harris, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Wands. Please rise.
Father, we thank you for your very presence in this place today. And I pray for each and every one that has a seat at this table and is sitting on the side, each and every one from the mayor to the council members, to those in the department heads and staff. Father, I thank you for them, for surely they have been chosen to sit in these seats in this time and this hour for a reason and a purpose. And I thank you for them. I pray, Father, for tonight that they have wisdom and understanding, of course, but Father, also insight and discernment in all the decisions that they must consider. And I pray, Father, that you surround them with these things and may they operate in these things on a daily basis, and that you would watch over them and give them creative ideas and creative thoughts, questions to ask and answers for the questions that come into their mind. And we pray that now, and that the peace, your peace, Father, just settle itself over this council chamber tonight. And that, Father God, that they'll have eyes to see and ears to hear everything, Father, they must consider and have the understanding to make the decisions they must. We pray that now in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want to thank you, Pastor Doug, for giving that prayer for us and for being a good support to me and to the city and the city council.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Mayor, if I could, Doug and I talked a little bit before the meeting, and of course, he's moved on. He took over Eastside Church, for 6 years? And has moved on now, but we were just chit-chatting about how we had put together a East End choir. Made of a bunch of guys like me, and actually sang at the church when Pam was there and different things. But thank you for what you do for this community.
Thank you, sir.
Man.
Appreciate you too.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman.
I
Yes.
would just like to thank the gentleman there for taking care of my packages when I brought them in.
I have multiple things. I'm a multitasker.
Very good. Thank you all. We do have the minutes from the March 15th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. You also have before you the agenda for this evening. There are no additions or corrections. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Reports, I do not have any proclamations this evening. However, I do have one appointment this evening. I would entertain a concurrence to approve Dylan Hahn to the David S. Palmer Arena Board with a term to expire in April of 2025. Is there a motion to concur with the appointment?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. I think Dylan is a bright young guy. He also serves on the college board, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job for us. He's shown himself to be a hard worker and a creative thinker.
Is he here tonight?
He is not here this evening. He had another commitment, unfortunately. Are there any reports of boards, agencies, or commissions this evening?
Mayor, I just want to announce that we are having Community Day this year. And it's going to be held on July 10th at Lincoln Park at 2:30.
And just as a reminder, for those of you who attend, if you could be there by 2, because alderman and mayor, we usually help serve the food. So if you're able to be there, please do come. It's usually a great day. Thank you, Administrator Finch. Are there any other reports of boards, agencies, or commissions? I do have a couple of items of information for you. You all have probably heard by now, but I'm very sad to report, if you haven't, that Linda Bolton passed away this weekend. I know for even some of us sitting around this dais, Linda was not only a friend, but a mentor. She contributed to this community in so many different ways. She was an outstanding reporter, a healthcare administrator. She worked for Vermont Advantage, doing economic development for a number of years. She was a woman of many talents and much heart. She gave everything that she had to the community. And in fact, even when she was in the hospital, she called with me to check and see how things were going with the library board and the police and fire board. So please do remember her husband, Wilbur, and her family and your prayers. She has left big shoes to fill. Linda, for those of you who may be unaware, in addition to all the other things she did for the community, Linda was currently serving as the police and the chairman of the police and fire board, which is upstairs meeting in my conference room currently, as well as Danville Public Library. So I am working with those entities on succession plans and also considerations for filling of the vacancies.
Mayor, I believe visitations tomorrow, 4 to 7.
That's sunset.
That's correct.
Sunset.
And then the funeral is on Thursday
At sunset at 10.
at 10 o'clock. Alderman Brown, thank you. So again, please remember her family in your prayers. On a more positive note, I'm excited that we have a lot of good news coming forth for the community over the next couple of months, and a couple of those things are this evening. One is going to be more information, and another is just going to be something for us to discuss. But we aren't going to be voting on some of these things. But at this time, Madam Clerk, I would are there any petitions, communications, audience comments?
I have one other item of information. One of the 7 plaintiffs, Nate Cunningham, passed away today.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd let know because we did just honor them several months ago,
Just today.
just today. He'd been sick for a while.
Thank you for letting us know. Nate Cunningham was the coach my football coach when Eve and I were in high school, and I learned a lot from him, and he could be a little fiery sometimes. So outside of my parents, that's also where I got it from. But gosh, we'll be in prayer for the Cunningham family as well.
I just want to say, Mayor, that Nate played in the Rose Bowl
Yes, he did.
and come out of the projects. Come a long way. It really hurts me.
Yeah, no, it does hurt.
Thank you for letting us know, Alden. At this time, we have two, before we receive the general audience comments, we do have two individuals presenting with us. Many of you all have heard about a project, an exciting project. We know that we have a lot of needs when it comes to healthcare, and particularly around things like dental care, mental health, substance abuse, and things like that. So at this time, I would like to present for the first time before us, because we haven't been meeting in most of the year that he's been here, Mr. Tim Dudley, the CEO of Vermont Advantage, to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Council and Mayor. It's an honor to be here and meet all of you. It's an honor to be in Danville. I'm very happy to be the CEO and president of Vermont Advantage. It's been a great
Can you give us
experience.
just 1 second? We're having a little bit of feedback. We're going to try to get your mic modulated.
How about that?
That's better. Yes, much better.
It's just been an honor to be here. I'm from Decatur. Spent all my life there, but had an opportunity to come to Danville, and I couldn't be more excited to be here. I found it to be a very friendly town, a town of a lot of passion, and I just thought those were things I could work with, and I'm just so happy to be here. But I'm here to introduce a man tonight that's going to be speaking to you about a great project that's going to be developing here in Vermont County and in Danville. It's a project that Vermont Advantage is 100% behind. It's a great project going in on the old St. Elizabeth property. We're very ecstatic that we're getting something done over there, and This man's going to have a proposal for you tonight, tell you a little bit about what SIHF Healthcare is going to do. So without further ado, I want to thank the council for having me here tonight. The mayor, thank you so much. But I want to introduce Mr. Larry McCulley. He's the CEO and president of SIHF Healthcare. He's going to tell you about this exciting project. Larry?
Thank you, Mr. Dudley.
Thanks, Tim.
Welcome.
Mayor Williams, members of the council. First of all, I just want to say thank you for giving me the honor to share a little bit about our organization. And I have to also recognize the numerous members of the Step Up group who since 2020, the summer of 2020, have been working with us, meeting with us, helping to express the needs, and honestly, just welcoming us to the city of Danville and the county of Vermilion. It's wonderful to see such engagement of the city wanting to make some serious changes. So tonight, I'm not going to go through a lot of slides. I really want to give you a little bit about our story and important about why we, as an organization, SIHF Healthcare, really live our vision, mission, and values. Slightly different type of healthcare system. We're not just about services, and I'm going to share a few items related to that, but we're really about health, because we know if there's no value to any of us if we don't have our health. And so I want to share a little bit about why we have, over the years, since 1985, really expanded our footprint to now 12 counties, as we will be opening up our first location here in Danville in June of 2022 at the high school, a school-based health center. This has been working on this for several months now. So that we are in the final stages of our interviewing for our clinicians that'll be there and our staff. But hopefully we'll be able to make that announcement officially here in the next 30 to 45 days. But our expansion, we actually started with one location in little old Centerville, Illinois, with this whole mission and purpose. And like I said, we have now grown to 12 counties, not because we're seeking out opportunities, but most of the time it's because people are seeking out who we are. And so just to give you a little idea about our core services, we try in all aspects of what we do, is whether it's family medicine, women's health, pediatrics, dental, behavioral health, substance abuse, work that into our purpose and mission. And over the last 2 years, we heard from the hospitals, OSF, the issue of having misutilization of the emergency department and needing to have better access to prevent that from happening, but more importantly, creating a stabilization of access to care. We've heard about teen pregnancy and the need to address that issue. And I'll touch a little bit on some of the things that we've done there. Kid services, behavioral health and its relationship. Over and over, we heard dental care, dental care, dental care. That's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a fight, but I know our team is up to working with you and fighting for that to see how we can bring that to the community as well. Behavioral health, there's not enough in our society right now to really help with all the behavioral health needs. Our system makes sure that every one of our locations have primary care and behavioral health really as one unit of service. We treat the whole individual. Substance abuse, more and more of our providers are getting trained and certified in Suboxone therapy. Again, embedding that into behavioral health, embedding that into primary care. But one of the things that oftentimes we leave out when we talk about healthcare is access to your medications. I mean, how many people have you spoken to that can't afford their medication? We embed that either directly in our sites or with partners, whether it's CVS, Walmart, Walgreens, private pharmacy. We've got a program called 340B where individuals, and I'll share a little story about a friend that approached me at a funeral last year. He was paying over $500 a month for his cardiovascular medication. Struggling. His insurance did not cover it. So I told him, let's work together. I can get you a physician, clinician at one of our locations. You can get access to our pharmacy. And I can guarantee you we're going to cut your cost from over $500 a month, he now pays under $1,000 a year. If somebody really has no means, our management staff actually has the right to waive that cost completely for that individual. That's the importance of having all of these pieces together and trying to treat and bring value. So let me give you a few ideas of the different things we do, because that's what we want to talk to the community. We want to hear what's going on. So, in East St. Louis, Greater East St. Louis, St. Clair County, we have a huge disparity in Black birth outcomes versus white. 2.5 to 3 times worse for Black moms and kids than whites. We looked through data upon data upon data. We went through records, and we talked to a lot of moms. We talked to a lot of families. This is the kind of stuff we do that goes well beyond just services. So here's what we identified. We had issues with IGUR. We had issues, or IUGR, sorry about that. We had issues with moms not having necessary support services. What were those? Transportation, nutrition, mental health services. So we created a program that embedded all of that. The nutrition program, we partnered up with a national managed care firm and with the state of Illinois to create a pilot program that we actually was able to bring moms two prepared meals per day, 7 days a week, a fresh fruit and vegetable basket every week. We taught them, we had nutrition classes, and we began working with them over the course of, this is 18 months. So we had over 120 women go through this process with us. This summer, we'll actually be able to release our final data, but I can tell you the preliminary data shows tremendous reduction in that disparity. And those are the kind of things that our team fights for every day. We got to go at, we can't have value if we don't fix the issues that are truly impacting health, which 85% of that is not what's going on at the doctor's office and your medication. It's really what's going on in your neighborhood. So that gives you an idea of, and there's story after story of the things that we do. We get individuals enrolled in insurance plans. We get them enrolled in Medicaid. We take care as much as we can in helping them, guide them through the healthcare system. And we do this under our auspices as a fairly qualified health center. And what makes us a unique entity is over 50%. In fact, our organization, 85% of our board members are also consumers of our services. So they experience day in and day out.
Can you repeat that? What you just, that
The Federally Qualified Health Center?
no, the,
85%.
85% of our board, 85% of our board members are actually consumers of our services. They're patients. And one of the things, as a requirement, you're supposed to have at least 50% as a federal. So we've done beyond that. But we're also very, very different in the fact that, we stood up in the early 1990s, 92, we actually had a local hospital, a safety net hospital in Centerville, Illinois. It was struggling. We actually assumed control of that hospital as an FQHC, the only one in the nation that's been able to do that. That hospital now is becoming and will be transforming over the next 5 years to become a regional hub for inpatient behavioral health for adolescents, women's, and adults. We're also going to embed the outpatient services, and we're working with our corrections facility to take the hospital that's on your left and turn that into a permanent supportive complex with a diversion center with our sheriff's department. So we're not having individuals with behavioral health and substance abuse sit behind bars. Let's get them in, let's get them treated, get them supported, move them to supportive housing, continue the services and support, and eventually allow them to inch back into society effectively. Other little, let me see here. Another little item about SIHF is as we migrated towards the eastern part of the state, we developed a partnership with Lifelinks. For a few years, they are actually embedded in a few of our locations, but they liked what was happening so much that community mental health center said, I want to be part of your organization. So now they are a control affiliate. And so we've actually embedded their therapists in like 7 or locations now and continue to grow that. One of the things that we love to do is find partners that's got a will and a way to change how we're delivering healthcare. But here's a little interesting piece that we also talk about when we talk about healthcare. And that's housing. We've got over 340 units of housing in play right now. Half of that's elderly, from Chicago down to the Metro East. We have a contract underway for us to renovate and replace 1,100 new units over the next decade. And so you see a picture up there. That's our cottages at the Cathedral in Belleville, Illinois. Let me give you a little idea about that property. That used to be, it's set right across, it's set a block and a half from the Cathedral in Belleville. It had an old broken down pants factory that was decaying. It had an old convent. It had 2 old homes, supposed to be vacant, but they were also being used for drug exchange. It's actually one of those homes, unfortunately, was raided, and one of the Sergeant Brow, actually was shot in the face. Fortunately, he survived, but he's still living with some serious injuries. That was a dormant property for the county in the city of Belleville. No taxes. They were providing a lot of services there. So the Monsignor at the parish reached out to us. Can you help? And so a process of nearly 2 years, we took that dormant tax property, eyesore, and turned it into 32 gorgeous independent senior apartment complexes. That property now pays taxes to the city of Belleville and the county. That property for 32 units has over 300 people waiting to get in. So the ironic thing is we are under a letter of intent right now to buy the St. Elizabeth's property in Belleville, the old hospital, to expand that property and to build an autism center for our children and families. And that's part of what I'm looking at. Our desire here is what do we do with the St. Elizabeth's property in Danville? And we would like, beyond the facility in the high school is a multi-service facility on the St. Louis property that would be in partnership with OSF, possibly with Carl, about the different services we can offer. This is a rendering of what we're doing in East St. Louis right now. We're putting up a urgent care model. We will operate 7 days a week, full service operation. You do not see urgent cares typically in underserved communities. We're going to change that. And so that's what this has been here, is a rendering of that initiative. We are planning on breaking ground in spring of 2023 and having an operation relatively soon after that. But it's a partnership with our local hospital who's going to provide a lot of the ancillary services. But beyond that, that large property over there, we would love to be working with in partnership with the city to figure out how we create the necessary housing to address the substance abuse issues, to address the challenges with people with having unsafe homes, neighborhoods. That's our desire. I truly, beyond belief, appreciate all the welcoming and interest with the Step Up group and the community. There's a backbone here of change, and to have us part of it, I'm appreciative of that. I know our team will be, but we really want to work with you to see how we can take that property that's been dormant for so long and turn it into something that could be a true win for the city of Danville. I appreciate it, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. McCauley. I'm sure you'll be happy to answer questions. Chairman Poor and then Alderwoman Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. McCauley. One thing, Vermillion's 1L.
Yeah.
There's Vermilion County, Indiana, that's 2 L's, but
All right.
that's my old stomping ground, St. Elizabeth's Hospital there. I lived on Elizabeth Street, Park Street, Lafayette Street, different places growing up, and to see what you're planning on doing with that property is just tremendous. And I would support it 100%.
Thank you.
What is much needed in this community.
Alderwoman Wilson.
Yes, I just wanted a little more information about the school-based center at the high school. Can you tell me what that's going to look like, entail?
So it's going to be at the lower level from the cafeteria. So the school district actually has conducted their renovations. We're engaged in the final lease agreement now, but we'll have a clinical practitioner to provide clinical services. And then we'll be embedding down the pathway, either through partnerships or directly behavioral health as well.
Okay.
It will operate based upon our conversations with the superintendent year round.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McCauley, could you clarify for the public? There's been a lot of concern from the community about treatment of minors without consent of their parents. Could you speak to that, please?
I would have to default a little bit of that to our staff that handles that.
But we don't allow for you will not allow the treatment of minors without written
Right.
consent of their parents, correct?
So what we would typically do in the schools and what we've done in other schools is working with the parents during registration period to get the consent if they want to do that. That's what we've done in other school districts. If the parents don't consent or want their child to go somewhere else, that's their choice.
Vice Mayor.
I used to work at St. Elizabeth Hospital, so I echo Alderman Poor's comments. I'm delighted to see something being done over there. I thought the medical community in Danville made some major mistakes at the merger and what they did and didn't do over there. That area needs your kind of assistance, has for a long time. Delighted to see you doing it. Wish you all the best.
Councilman, I appreciate that. Healthcare has made a lot of mistakes over the years.
Yep.
Alderwoman Brown.
Okay, Mr. McCauley, I've seen it step up and happy that this project is proceeding, and also at the high school. Now, when they do this, I don't know if I should address this to Dr. Geddes or you. Will there be some type of a grand opening for this, or maybe the council could go and see this before it officially opens to the public? I meant before they start
Be more
using
than
that,
happy to
those
talk to Dr.
services.
Geddes and set that up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Alderwoman.
excited about being there at the school, so it,
I am excited
That
that
would
the
be-
one of the individuals we're talking to, that's going to be the practitioner.
mhm.
Could be
I
a
have
huge win.
Alderman Williams.
Yeah, I have a question. Who's eligible for this treatment and how they're going to pay for it?
For the treatment at the new clinic on the old St. E's.
Yeah.
Everybody. We do not turn away a single person.
So who pays for this?
So if somebody has insurance, we bill insurance. If they have Medicare or Medicaid, we bill that. If they have no insurance, then we put them on a slide. So we do get information on their income and we can slide it. Our management team, if that individual has no money, they waive it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's what we're there for. So as a federally qualified health center, in some locations, you would get a federal grant to start. We're going to start this on our own. But our policy is no matter who it is walking in the door, you get served. And we better not get a surprise bill.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, when you speak to your about your management team, is that what is the management team? Is that a local a body, or is that a management team working out of another location that is, I'm very interested in that.
With the effort that we're trying to materialize here, ultimately, we need a local individual that represents the community and the voice of the community. Yes. And then they would be connected to our senior leadership across the state.
I think that's the same question I had, maybe not the same, but like your board, you mentioned your board is made up of your patients. So I think that's very good. So what about the Danville area, your board that you have, that will oversee this area too? Or will there be board or someone from this community involved in that board, or what?
Would ultimately like to recruit a board member.
Okay.
Thanks to Zoom, it makes life a lot easier for our board meetings.
Okay,
But yes, we will look at recruiting a patient from this area to represent the voice.
thank you.
Chairman Poor.
And I think Chairman Streaming might agree, Alderman Vice Chair O'Kane might agree. You got to get Rabbitown in that name somehow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was originally Rabbitown.
That neighborhood is known as Rabbit
from
Town.
Gilbert, the Maine or the Bowman and Maine, all that was considered Rabbitown, the Patch, different things back in the day. So I know Rick has a lot more information, and Brenda probably has some. Mike has some on all that whole area and how it evolved over the years from when it was St.E's and when they kept buying up all the neighborhood property and different things, expanding. And unfortunately, as everybody said, it was closed. But it's going to be great to have that on that lot again.
A lot of us were born on that
Yeah.
property.
Yes.
I was born there.
I was.
So.
But Rabbitown would have 2 T's.
Yes.
It does have 2. Well, Mr. McCauley, we thank you for being us. We also know that you have a long drive home, so if you need to leave, we won't hold that against you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for being here. We also have another group. This is more of an informational presentation. It's one about which I personally have a lot of questions. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Brad Zerman and his team from 7 Point LLC to present briefly to us and answer any questions that we may have.
Hi, Mayor, Council. My name is Brad Zerman. I'm the CEO of 7 Point. Thanks for the opportunity to present this information this evening. It's related to on-premise cannabis consumption. As of August 2021, this is just an Illinois licensing update since the last time I was here. As of August 2021, the lotteries were concluded, but the licenses have not yet been awarded for dispensaries throughout the state due to some pending litigation against the state. 7 Point is the social equity justice involved lottery winner. The other 2 winners have not petitioned the city of Danville for any dispensary sites as of yet. 7 Point related entities are still viable applicants to possibly receive one of the 60 outstanding craft grower licenses we applied for as well. Here, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. You've seen this site plan before. I just wanted to let you all know that my engineer and architects are working to relocate where the building is on the site and to also update the setbacks per the city requirements, and also updated entrance where the city, I guess, wants to change that too. So that's going to be changed. We're proposing a 2-story building that the second floor could potentially be a cannabis consumption lounge if Danville adopted it. But I'm here tonight to explain, a lot about cannabis consumption lounges to you. When the state adopted the Regulation and Tax Act, it authorized local governments to permit on-premise cannabis consumption. So that's already built into the state law. And on cannabis consumption, per the state law, would be allowed in tobacco stores or cannabis dispensaries. Typically, it would be in a lounge atmosphere. The impact on the local economic development for Danville, there's a lot of positive things this could bring. First of all, there would be an increase in jobs needed in the hospitality space if we're to have a consumption lounge upstairs from a dispensary. We will market jobs locally in Danville as well as throughout other sources. Patrons would come from other areas to check out our dispensary and especially a lounge if this was allowed. Many people have been to these types of establishments in Colorado, Nevada, Illinois, and in Europe. So a 7-Point Lounge would also create local synergies and bolster the local cannabis market. We have an excellent relationship with Cresco, who owns the Sunnyside Dispensary across the street. And we've already started conversations with them about if they would be able to create single serving type products that could be sold in that type of a setting. We also, if you allowed a cannabis consumption lounge, we would also buy products from any other growers or infusers that were based in Danville or in Vermilion County. This would help bolster the local cannabis market and increase sales taxes to Danville. Further development of the 7-Point property will increase property taxes. This adds value to the city and the surrounding properties, resulting in higher property taxes to Danville. Having a social consumption lounge would increase security. From time to time, there'd be additional security guards, more cameras, and the Regional Science and Urban Economics Journal published one of the first studies looking at how cannabis legalization affects neighborhood crime rates in the short run. And they concluded the more security it comes into an area, the less crime occurs. With more square footage, we could sell more products, resulting in added value for 7-Point. This would generate additional sales tax revenue, and 7-Point Lounge customers would patronize other local businesses such as the casino restaurants, Sunnyside, the motels and the hotels nearby. There are a lot of ways that we would partner with the community. We would host lunch and learn events and other educational events like we did in Oak Park at the medical dispensary I ran for almost 3 years. We partnered with our next door neighbor who was a restaurant, and we offered food and education for free along with product discounts to customers. A lounge type atmosphere, we could offer live and stand-up type entertainment, including local talent, music, and comedy acts. We are looking forward to the possibility of building relationships with local area food trucks. We've already received a list of food trucks from Vermilion Advantage and start looking into those operators. We would hire local security and potentially police officers as needed for special events. And we would promote local taxi and car service companies in all of our publications. We're already received also from Vermilion Advantage who the local Danville mural artists are, because we would commission them for some art as well. I've already spoken personally to the CEO of Cresco about our whole operation, and we've agreed to work together to build the cannabis community in Danville. Food trucks seem to be really something that could be useful in the east side of Danville, since it doesn't seem like there's much food around there. And with a booming cannabis lounge business, we are mostly interested in partnering with food trucks without having to have a kitchen that would cook food in our premises. So food truck seems like a really interesting prospect. And it does seem that bringing food into the area could also help patrons of the local motels. There's a lot of synergies between the couple of these other local businesses that are coming and that are already here. So I just wanted to show you on this slide the close proximity to 7 Point and Sunnyside, as well as from Sunnyside and 7 Point to the new casino. I think that a lot of patrons that would go to a casino would also go to this type of a lounge. And we would serve food inside as well as non-alcoholic beverages. These are a few of the items that we would serve. In the event that Danville decided to allow lounges, we would submit and adhere to an operations plan that would be developed around some of the following primary topics and include many others, such as security, odor mitigation, customer flow, customer safety protocols, lounge staff training protocols, including no alcohol on the premises, just to name a few. Guests would need to purchase all products to be consumed in the lounge from the 7 Point Dispensary for public safety purposes. This way it's guaranteed to be safe, lab-tested cannabis. All staff would utilize the state mandatory responsible training program. All dispensary agents are required to go through that, as well as we would put through all the lounge agents as well. This would ensure the staff is trained on cannabis use, identification, verification, waste handling, recognizing signs of impairment and overconsumption, and health and safety standards, just to name a few of the topics that are covered. To precautions against overconsumption, we plan to use the STAMP approach. This includes staff training, active monitoring, prevention, and preparation. For the staff training, I just wanted to review a few highlights. One we just spoke about was the Illinois Responsible Vendor Training as required by the state of Illinois. The 7 Point standard operating procedures that we would create and work with Danville to create and submit, as well as the Serve Safe Food and Alcohol Certification and Basset Training, which is a requirement for people who work in a bar or alcohol service from the state of Illinois, even though we wouldn't be serving alcohol. These are some of the active monitoring strategies that our dispensary agents from the lounge would communicate with new customers coming in, such as, part of their check-in procedures would be, have you visited our lounge previously? Do you use cannabis regularly? And then remind customers of the 7 Point rules that the customer agreed to at the time of registration. Staff would cut off customers and encourage hydration if it appears they're on their way to overconsumption. Overconsumption is most likely to occur when cannabis is mixed with alcohol, which will not be present on site. When a guest books a reservation, this would be something they would do online, similar to like booking a restaurant reservation. They would see and agree to all of our policies, including overconsumption, prevention policies like no alcohol, a 2-hour maximum visit. Water and sparkling water would be available at no cost to guests to encourage hydration. And there's a best practices formula that's used in consumption lounges nationally that metabolizes in water to quickly reduce the effects of consumption if there is a problem. Health and sanitation and odor mitigation are super important. To maintain a clean and safe environment, the proposed consumption lounge will utilize Ecolab dish and glass sanitizing equipment. They're a leader in hygiene, sanitation, and infection prevention. To mitigate odor, the proposed facility will have inline carbon filters and odor eliminators installed that keep clean and smoke-free air circulating throughout the interior. Fans would be installed to push up the air and out of the lounge. And there are several products that work hand in hand with the rest of the system, including products called Cannabusters and Cannabolish that specialize in odor elimination. A 7-point lounge would ensure that security is always the top priority. We would use security personnel, signage for surveillance, no guns, no under 21, no alcohol. We would have access control areas in the lounge and the whole facility related to the lounge, just like we would downstairs in the dispensary. There's rooms that only employees can go into. There would be video surveillance and lighting, intrusion detection systems with live stream from cameras 24/7 to the Illinois State Police, as well as to the Danville Police if they want it. 7-point would furnish this lounge similar to like what a local bar would look like. There'd be tables and chairs, a bar without alcohol, and we would like to see some pinball and arcade and possibly a virtual reality station. I thought it would be helpful to share with you an actual lounge approved in and open in Mundelein, Illinois currently. So Mundelein is in Lake County. It's about an hour from Chicago. I visited and had several business meetings at this lounge. The Rise Dispensary is owned by a company called GTI, that's Green Thumb Industries. They're based downtown Chicago, and they're a publicly traded company. They're one of the largest companies in the country. The Rise Dispensary was one of the first, they were the first dispensary in the metro Chicago area when medical opened up in 2015. I recently met with the CEO and the management team of Green Thumb at the lounge, and we discussed the possibility of other consumption lounge that we could be involved in, and they agreed that all the products that they plan to design and make for their lounge, that we would be able to buy from them. The consumption lounge in Mundelein, they only allow the low THC beverages, and they don't allow any other edibles on site. They just allow like flour and pre-rolls and other low THC. Well, that's the only, they have a beverage that they manufacture that only has 2 milligrams of THC. So that's the only edible that they allow there. They have, currently, they have a smaller size room that while they're big, they're building out a bigger size room in the adjacent room next door. And the smaller size room will be used for private events. The larger one, they're going to have a bar and tables like I described. Recently, I was invited to an event at that lounge in support of Louisiana U.S. senatorial candidate Gary Chambers. You may have heard about. He's the first senatorial candidate to smoke a blunt in a national campaign ad. And so we were there to support him. I just wanted to show you a few pictures of the kinds of products. These are sold in dispensaries and that would be allowed in a lounge. You have on the left a pre-roll. The beverage product I was just describing that Green Thumb created is called Can. And there's a bunch of flavors with that. The best part about that Can product is that it's only 2 milligrams of THC. It's got a little CBD in it. And it's a product that you could drink the whole thing and not worry about, how you're going to feel because it's really a microdose. Then on the right, there's a vape cartridge. And then on the bottom, there's a solid concentrate and then flour. So those are the types of products that you see utilized in a lounge, typically in Illinois. This lounge offers all these accessories, and it's hard to see. I took a picture of their menus at the bottom, but the menus at the bottom contain a bunch of different like water pipes and electronic devices used to consume cannabis. And so they let you use all of those products for free while you're there. So really, in the lounge atmosphere, there's not really a cost per se, other than the cannabis that you would buy to consume. And so we would model off that, and it's a really nice. You'll see some pictures later on.
Mr. Zerman, can you bring your own
Cannabis.
equipment if you wish to?
Paraphernalia?
Like if you have.
Oh, see the model that this Mundelein Lounge has, I think, is good because that way they guarantee that all the products are clean, and then they'll clean them in between people. I don't know. We could talk about that if someone wanted to bring their own equipment. But the key here is that they have all the equipment that you would need, and you don't need to bring it, and they're not going to charge you for it. So like with the pipes they have, with the like a bong per se, they will deliver the bong to you like you're in a restaurant. So it's really like a restaurant experience. The way they seat you, the way they serve you these devices, and they'll put cold water or ice in these things for you. They'll train you on how the devices are used. So it's really the whole thing is very educational, I thought, if it's run properly. We dug up some information from the Mundelein website when Green Thumb, made their presentation to get this approved. And we listed the staff comments. There are only these staff comments about this project. One was, as long as negative impacts are properly mitigated and the village is comfortable with the operations plan, then it's a sales tax generation use and merits consideration. The other one was the Mundelein staff did not support consumption at tobacco stores. They desired to maintain tight controls over cannabis businesses, including on-premises consumption. And we think that makes sense too, to keep a lounge controlled in a cannabis setting rather than a tobacco setting, since the cannabis businesses are already so regulated by the state. Everything's going to be done by all the rules and laws. And in a tobacco store, people probably could bring in their own cannabis, and that's just not going to be regulated as well. Okay, 7 Point is new to Danville, but not to the Illinois cannabis industry. I'm a veteran in the Illinois cannabis industry and previously demonstrated excellent working relationship with the Village of Oak Park, the local police, and the overall community for almost 3 years. Here's a timeline that I'm just going to show you. I think you all have these materials. Starts out with the medical and brings us, through where we are today. I wanted to show you how our customer flow would be. It's very simple and very safe. So first, as with any customer who would come to the dispensary, they would enter the front door and be ID'd initially as soon as they enter the building. Then they would be directed to the sales counter of the dispensary. Whether they were going to the lounge or they weren't going to the lounge, they would be directed to the sales counter. And at the sales counter, they're either going to pick up an order they ordered online already, or they're going to talk with a consultant and get some advice and pick out some products right there. Either way, we're going to give them a second ID check. That's state law at the counter. Customers who have confirmed reservations for the lounge or just want to ask questions about the lounge would be directed to a staff member at the elevator who would be at a podium, and they would be there to check in customers and a third ID check before they get in the elevator. No customers would be allowed upstairs unless they had an actual confirmed reservation to be there. Once they get off the elevator, then there's going to be another podium and the entrance to the lounge where we're going to check their ID again. So now they're all confirmed and they'll be escorted to their table just like anyone would be at a restaurant. That's how they did it in the Mundelein dispensary. It was really nice. And customers would be offered sparkling and still water at no cost. And we will offer menus with food and beverage items for consumption, which may include food trucks as we got busier because, we probably need a bunch of people to have a food truck. But that would happen. And regarding the whole experience, we'll be checking in on customers to keep an eye on intoxication. And at 120 minutes, we would escort customers out of the lounge. It's the 2-hour maximum. I know you've met me a couple times and my partner Shane Miller, who's from Central Illinois. But this is our leadership team. And so we have a bunch of people to draw on to help us with various aspects of not only the dispensary, but any possible consumption lounge. With our security team, Vanessa in the bottom left, she worked at the restaurant next door to our old dispensary. And she was a great partner. She was the manager of the restaurant and handled those lunch and learns for us. And we fed people, and she's on our team now too. So we have hospitality people, educational people, dispensing, Shane's pharmacist. And then there's just the last couple pictures. I haven't been to this one. This is in Nevada. Unfortunately, I was out there in October and I didn't know they had legalized social consumption lounges there, but they have that in Nevada. And then on the next page, we have a couple pictures from the Mundelein Lounge. So you can see it's really nice. It's got a really nice vibe. The leather couches, nice tables, cool lighting. And then the picture at the bottom, you can see, I'm showing you that mostly to show you like how many vents are in the ceiling. And there's that big box that's all the way in the back that's bringing out the air out of the room. So, just from the times that I've been there, I thought it was really a nice experience inside. It wasn't smoky. It didn't smell. And it didn't smell when I was coming in and out of the place either. But, these guys know what they're doing. And these are all things that are available in the marketplace to counter the negative, results from it. In conclusion, we spent a great deal of time researching the industry. Over the past couple of years, I've visited lounges in Barcelona, Denver, and Mundelein. The Mundelein experience was the most helpful and organized and had the most staffing to direct people and assist with products and devices. We would aim to model any future potential Danville lounge after the GTI Rise Mundelein Lounge, and we're positioned very well to get all the information we need from them and to partner with them for products. So I want to thank you for your time, and if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. And also, if anything comes up, later, you can contact me.
Thank you, Mr. Zerman. I'll start with a couple of questions, if I may.
Sure.
I saw you use the phrase overconsumption a lot. Occasionally people know here I like to go and karaoke. I'll have a drink or two. I can go and have a drink or two and then relax and not drink at all for an hour or two and then be fine to go. However, if I were to smoke something and I stopped smoking something, if other people around me were smoking something, it's not the same as alcohol where I can self-regulate if other people around me are doing that as well. So how do you prevent people from leaving stoned and driving under the influence?
I really would just liken this kind of a business to any bar or restaurant that serves alcohol. I just, I think it's the exact same thing, because when people go out, if they're going to go out to party or they're going to go out for dinner, they expect to have a glass of wine or whatever they're going to do, then they have to take the same safety procedures when they go out for dinner or they go to a bar. Either someone's going to not party or drink or whatever it is that's going on, and they're the driver, or they're going to get there in a taxi or some car service, or they're going to, one of these, when I've been to these Mundelein things, I probably spent about 10 minutes smoking and then the rest relaxing. They have games in these places, so there's a lot going on. And then when you have bring entertainment into this stuff, you don't have to just be smoking and smoking and smoking the whole time. It's just no different than going to a bar and relaxing, and you have 2 hours. So
But my question though is, maybe this, I'm not sure if this is the right phrase, but contact high. You know, I've heard of that a lot. If we were in a room and all of my, even if I was, let's say, I guess it sounds like you're insinuating maybe a designated driver of sorts. If I were in the room and the people, these were my friends and they were still smoking, even if I just smoked for 10 minutes, how am I still not going to then be high when I leave the facility?
Personally, haven't like experienced getting high from other people's smoke, but in these lounges, I know it's hard to believe, but when you smoke in these lounges, everything I described actually happens in there because, I've been in there where there's 3 or 4 tables of a bunch of people and not everyone's smoking all the time, but when they are, the smoke, it goes right out of there. It's not smoky in the place or anything like that, or it would be nauseating to be in that kind of atmosphere. It's the fans blow it up and the systems take it out. And I just didn't experience that kind of a atmosphere where it was smoky or anything like that.
Alderwoman Patel, and then
I was just going to speak to the fact that he said that there was something that can be put in the water to help bring the high down if they're found to be too high. Or
that's the information. I looked up these products and these are the things that Green Thumb referenced they're like standard things in the industry that lounges rely on in the event there is a real issue. So there are things that can be done in the event of a real issue, but as far as like consuming and being responsible, that's super important. And all of our materials, like online, when you register for your table or on your menu, will promote local taxi services and car services for anyone who needs that, because no one needs to get caught into a problem,
How can you tell how high a person is, though? I know, like with alcohol, our officers have breathalyzers. How can you tell how high a person is? Is there a breathalyzer
we wouldn't
test?
use a breathalyzer in a lounge. I don't think you would go to a bar and expect to use a breathalyzer either. So we wouldn't use that. But I think it's just about like kind of how I explained to you, there's a lot of training that goes into this, that when you talk to customers and you check in with them, that's how you check on customers. You can see how they communicate with you. And there's training for this, that bartenders and liquor servers go through, and the cannabis people are going to get the same kind of training.
So if a person were to overconsume, what's the procedure?
Well, what we were just talking about is that there's this product. It's called it has the word chillax. In the product, but it's a product that you would mix with water and it helps diffuse the situation.
so they would drink it and it would help bring their high down.
They would drink it. It's called a Chillax Cannabis Calming Formula, and it metabolizes the water to reduce the effect of consumption. It's a best practice in consumption lounges. That's what we looked up.
So is this something that you've used in your other lounges, or?
No, I don't have any other lounges. I'm just saying these are things that these other lounges are promoting that they use in the event of an issue.
Chairman Poor.
Thank you, Mr. Zerman. The Mundelein Lounge, my son lives in Mundelein, so I've driven by it.
Okay.
It's always busy.
So you know where it's at.
Now, Sunnyside, most of their product you buy online. You don't walk in the store if you don't have an order placed. You have to have somebody that comes with a laptop and you pick what you want.
Yeah.
Most of their products do say take 60 to 90 minutes for the effect to be felt.
Those are edibles.
Right.
Okay.
Those are edibles.
But you're doing edibles in a.
We are not going to do.
You're not going to do
edibles in there.
edibles. You're just
No.
going to do smoking.
No, I reported in this presentation that the only edible, at least initially, the only edible that we would be okay with, modeling off of the Green Thumb Rise one,
Okay.
is the canned product. We should meet there sometime when you're. We'll give you a
And
tour.
Alderman, or
Just a tour.
Chairman Streben and Vice Chairman O'Kane can tell you, from having bingo and smoking and different things, those fans don't exhaust anything.
Oh, this is,
I mean,
you should check it out before you say something about it, because
well,
this is like a serious operation.
so is bingo. ask the elderly Catholics. But anyway, I mean,
The public
so are
company
you-
bought the equipment.
So is this going to be a both adult use and medical?
There's no more medical licenses being issued in Illinois.
I thought there were 6 more issued.
No, there's just there are 55 original ones, which I had one originally.
Okay.
Those are the only medical.
So why is the
Dispensaries in the
push then
state.
for several different dispensaries approaching the city to get a facility to be able to sell?
So this is a dispensary question, because they just had last year when I came before you to talk about the property
Mhm.
that we got that approved for the dispensary. They had the original 55 licenses were issued in 2015. Okay. When it legalized in 2019 or 20, I think.
19.
So when it legalized, the existing operators each got an additional license. It was like considered a negotiation between the existing industry and the regulators and senators and everyone who want to bring more stores. So the existing industry said, give us another store and we'll go along with it.
So
there's
basically then you
110
still
now.
have to go to Champaign in order not to pay the high sales tax, because
Correct.
those locally Vermilion County, Danville,
There won't
would
be any
only
more
be
medical.
recreational. No
There's
medical.
185 new licensees. Only no one's getting the license because of some litigation with other people. Eventually, we're going to get the licenses when that all ends up. But in the meantime, it seems like I'm the only one of the 3 lottery winners who have secured a property, got all the zoning passed by the city.
Okay.
And the other people haven't done that yet because it takes time and money to do all this. And there's risk that what happens if we don't get the licenses, and I'm spending all this time and money on this project. We're moving all this stuff forward, even though the state's doing nothing. I have hired an architect who's now working with my design team. We're going to get some drawings going for this building, and we're going to move forward with the city, even if the state doesn't get anything going, to get our building permits and whatever. We'll keep pushing forward so that when the state is ready and they finish all their litigation and then they say, okay, we're going to give everyone their licenses now, we'll have all our drawings and everything ready to go.
So is this an existing facility or building brand new?
The property that we secured is in front of the Cono Lodge.
Okay.
It's part of their existing
Right
parking
across
lot.
from
Right across
Sunnyside.
from Sunnyside. And there's nothing on the property. There's no building. We would have to build a building.
So you built ground up.
Yeah, so we would propose a 2-story building, and the dispensary would be on the ground floor with the elevator to go up. I go to the podium, and then you go up, and I think it would work nicely from a security situation because no one can go up into the elevator unless you have a reservation, and that's totally separate from the dispensary. People buy downstairs, they come upstairs. On their way out, maybe they tried something they liked and they want to buy something else. This is just more sales tax for Danville. It's more products to be
It's
sold.
just weird to me having on-site consumption.
One of the things that's really interesting that since we're talking about like the on-site consumption, part of the reason why the state, I think, was, New York is also going to do consumption lounges. They're just legalizing cannabis for the first time right now, and they're going to have them too. But the interesting thing about it, why it seems important to do it, is because if you think about it, the state law right now basically says that you can only smoke cannabis or consume cannabis or however you're going to do it in your house. That's the law. The only place that someone can legally consume cannabis is in their house, maybe in their backyard, if it's hidden from public view. That's the law. So, okay. So now I'm going to go home and smoke a joint, and I don't have little kids anymore, but I have little kids in my house, let's say. That doesn't really make sense to me. That now the law says it's legal to buy cannabis. It's legal to have cannabis, but you have to smoke it in your house. And if you have people in there that don't want to be around smoke or have little kids or whatever, it doesn't make sense. this would provide a place for people to smoke that's safe, it's secure, it's providing safe cannabis, and everything about it is well planned and safe and existing under state law. And the other thing is people that, and I don't know if there's federal housing in Danville, but if there is, you cannot smoke or possess cannabis on federal property. So how is the law really, protect people from being able to use it if they can't even use it in a reasonable place? So I also just think that with what's going on in the east side of Danville right now, is that this kind of business is a social kind of business. And I just see that whole casino aspect of being social. And it's also a way for 7 Point to separate itself from Sunnyside across the street, that we have something different than them. They're great. We're going to carry their products. I was just in a Michigan facility of Cresco's where they grow 125,000 feet. I had a tour. Really fascinating. I recently got a Detroit area license right outside Detroit. So we're, going to buy from Cresco there too.
Okay, so we're going to have a on-site smoking room.
I don't know if we're going to, but if you say we are.
But I'm saying that's what
I'm
you're
all
asking
for
for.
it.
So how long does it take before the state comes back in, as it did with bars and restaurants, and didn't prohibit smoking for smoking's sake, but for employee health sake?
We were talking about the tobacco smoking law now.
I'm just saying.
This is exempt from all that.
It is now. But
It is.
what happens when the state comes in and says, okay, you're endangering the employee's health
No,
by allowing them to be
Legal
around
now.
people smoking, which
but
is
there's
what
no
they did at the
tobacco.
bars and
It's not
restaurants.
tobacco.
I know it's not. I'm just saying, though, how long until the state
No, the
comes
studies
in
are already
and-
out there that don't support that. So that wouldn't have been part of the law already if that was fact.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I'm just saying, that's how tobacco got.
No, I know, but it's
contraband
not
got passed.
tobacco. That's the best part about it. It's exempt from all those tobacco
Okay.
indoor smoking laws.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alderwoman Pickering and then Alderwoman Teague.
I believe you said something about monitoring the consumption.
Mhm.
How do you do that?
Well, I don't think I didn't mean that we're going to check in every single item that they're smoking. What I mean is that the staff would be trained on how to monitor and interact with customers just to make sure everyone's having a good time and nothing's getting out of hand. That's what I mean. You're going to monitor their use by checking in with them, talking to them the same way that bartenders and other alcohol servers are trained. It's the same training that our staff would go through that a bartender or someone who serves liquor would go through. It's the same concept now. Cannabis is legal and regulated and taxed like alcohol, and they're both recreational drugs basically. So it's similar. It's just similar monitoring, similar serving, similar checking in, making sure everyone's doing okay, offering water and other food, just being having a good, responsible business.
Alderwoman Pickering, did you have any other questions?
No.
Alderwoman Teague.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
You mentioned jobs. How many jobs do you plan to create in the dispensary? And then how many would be added if you were able to add the lounge?
The dispensary that I had was only medical, and I sold it before it went recreational.
No, I mean the one here.
No, I know. I'm just giving you an example.
Okay.
So thank you. My reference from that is the store that I sold when it went recreational. That company, I'm told, had about 50 employees. Because it'd be long hours for the dispensary, 7 days a week. So there's a bunch of shifts. I'm told that there are 20 people, up to 20 people could be working in the dispensary at one time if it was a super busy dispensary. So I would say 15 to 20 people working at a time in the dispensary. The lounge, I'm been hanging around this other lounge, poking around, learning about it. It's very small right now. It's going to take a while for them to build up their clientele. It's a brand new thing. They're like the only one around, really. And I don't think that many people know about it. So It's one of those things where I think it will take time. I would say that lounge is real small right now. They have a couple servers, like a maitre d' when you check in, a manager. There's only like 6 or 7 tables in this room right now. But on the other side of the wall, they're building out like about a 1,200 square foot place. So then I could see they probably have 10 people working there, I would imagine, because we're going to serve light food. I just don't want to have a kitchen and have any accidents with all that cannabis in the building, you know. So we would have like basic food that you didn't have to cook, and hopefully the business thrives, and we would then, you know, work with food trucks. It could be really great.
Okay. My next question is, do you have any data or projections on consumption revenue and or tax payments?
I don't have that information.
And then
You could look at it.
Okay. And then out of curiosity, because you mentioned that you had applied for Craft Grow, where, because I know it was in Danville. So where did you apply for the Craft Grow? And if you get it, do you plan to ask IDOA to move it?
Well, we would be able to move it, no problem, because we lost the building that that we were doing in, because all the time they took. The building got sold. It was in Harvard, Illinois, on the border of Wisconsin. Okay. The whole other way.
Would you be asking to move it here?
We'll see what happens if we get it. Honestly, I don't know, you know, what I would do with it. Right now I have my hands full. I mean, I'm trying to move this thing forward, even though the state isn't. And, you know, there's a lot of challenges and a lot of work. And then I have this other Detroit area one. So, you know, I'm hoping, I don't really care if the Craft Grow takes a little while longer. That would be great if we could get through some of these other projects first and then get to that. I have friends, just so you know, I have friends that they're applicants just like me. They applied in Vermilion County. And they are partners with a local Danville developer, Paul Offit. So Paul Offit built a shell, just started to build the building in Tilton. It's there.
Okay.
And there is like, there's a possibility to use their thing, or it could be in Danville.
Okay. I have a follow-up question for you.
If I get a license, we'll talk.
Okay. I have a follow-up question for you, but after all the other questions.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Alderman Brown.
Mr. Zimmerman, you mentioned security and you mentioned local police. How do you propose to secure our local police?
What do you mean?
Well, you said
Oh,
local.
to
You're
secure-
talking about our
Well,
local.
just
Are
that-
you going to do like a contract? Would you?
We're gonna hire a security firm.
Right, but you mentioned local police.
Well, that would be like if there was an event or something that we wanted to get extra help and support, we would discuss that with the chief and see. I don't know how that works down here, if police are available for that, but sometimes police are available to hire for support if there's like a big event that we had or something like that. It wouldn't be a day-to-day thing or anything like that.
That was my concern.
Yeah.
You plan to contract the
No.
Danville police or what?
No.
Because I don't think
No.
you can do that. So that's why I was
We would
concerned
use
when you said the local police.
the couple partners that had security next to their names when we showed our leadership team.
Right.
That's a Chicago area minority firm, and the gentleman is a disabled vet, and that's how I met them, was by contracting with them. We were required in the application process to the state to have a contract with a guard company, because it's a requirement to have a guard during hours.
We're
that
not
you're
talking
open.
about our local police.
No, not for that.
Being there just
No.
because of your lounge.
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Sorry if that was confusing.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sorry.
Alderman Williams, did you have a question still, sir?
Yeah, I was just concerned about, is there any payment to the patrons coming in, or can they just walk in? Or what?
Is there any what?
Payment to enter?
Oh,
into-
no. There's no charge to enter the lounge. We're going to model it the same way as the Mundelein one. All you need to do is buy the product on site to consume there. You don't need to spend any other money there. All the devices and the accessories, like let's say, for example, you bought a jar of flour. Then we're going to provide you with a tray, a grinder to grind up the flour. We'll supply for free papers or cones to roll a pre-roll if you want to smoke one of those in there. These devices are all to be used at no cost, free training on them to make sure everyone knows how to use it. And then we'll offer food that people would pay for if they wanted to buy, you know, whatever it is that, you know, we're selling.
Vice Chairman O'Kane.
How are the city laws and the state laws, are they concurrent where you are eligible to do this now or do we have to do special zoning, special permits?
The state authorized local governments to permit companies to do this in tobacco stores or on-site cannabis dispensaries. That's the law. The state already has this in their law. It's ready to go for you to accept it. And then you could just do the zoning and whatever else.
That we could have special use permits and stuff like that we can use to control some of it.
And what I'm proposing today is, you know, and Logan could talk to you guys about this stuff too. But what I'm proposing to you today is to license me to do it and let other people, if they want to do it, then they can come pitch you then to be able to do it if they, you know, based on whatever your rules are. You know, so far, there's been no other dispensary operators that have cited in Danville.
And what about the fact that the city of Danville does not oversee food consumption? The county does that. What does that do to the mix?
They would have to, well, two
You would
things.
apply for whatever license with them then directly.
To speak to your first question, we would have to change our ordinance to allow it because it currently does not allow it. However, they would have to go through the licensing process with the county, just like any other establishment would.
And it probably depends on what kind of food we're going to serve, because it might not be that much of a big deal what we're going to serve. You know, I just don't know what we're going to serve yet.
And
Or if the food trucks are already licensed.
Food trucks are already going to be doing that, you know.
being very ignorant, but I've heard that consumption of this can be expensive. What is the person going to spend $100, $200 to walk in a place and have their entertainment, or
To buy the product, you mean?
to buy the product and consume it? And
Well, they could spend however much they want. I mean,
but
you could
there's
buy.
there's a bottom threshold.
No, but that was one of the very interesting things. I spoke with the CEO of Green Thumb at that Mundelein dispensary. He was at the political event that I was at, so I got a chance to talk to him for a while. So I'm going to give you an example. When you go to the dispensary, their canned product that I showed you the picture of, they sell it in a 6-pack. Okay. What I said to him was, when you guys get this thing going, are you going to then be able to just sell one can? Someone doesn't want to buy a 6-pack at a bar, right? You want to buy a beer, not a 6-pack. So he said, yes, these growers can package any size product they want. They just have to tell the Department of Agriculture they're doing it. So the owner of this lounge owns a dispensary. They're a big grower, and they can make whatever products they want. It's going to be perfect for us to tap into their single serving or double serving type stuff that would cost less, be able to get people. This is a big reason why I'm in favor of this whole thing, is because it's going to be able to bring people in for a lower cost to try a product at a cheaper cost than buying a bigger part of it. And then if they like it, then they can buy more product. Now we're getting 2 sales out of it, but they didn't have to invest a lot to try it out. So that would be our goal, is to have smaller unit sizes, but it doesn't matter, because let's say someone comes to the dispensary and they want to buy, let's say they buy like 1/8 of an ounce. Let's say it's $60 or something like that. They're going to go in and only use probably $10 of the $60, and they're going to take the rest home. That's what they wanted to do anyway. So,
Okay.
Chairman Poor.
Thank you again. So are your servers and different things going to have to follow the basic requirements, same as an alcohol server? Are they going to rewrite the law to include consumption of cannabis on site?
There's already a state required mandated training program for all people who work in a dispensary at any level. So there already is that course.
So that's in place.
that we will send our people to that, but we're going to have our own procedures and train them ourselves on how to conduct.
And then
themselves.
as far as the health department goes, you'll have to have somebody on premises with not only a food manager's license.
I don't know. I don't know
If you
about
serve
that.
any kind of food or drinks,
Mhm.
plus you'll have to have every employee that dispenses also have a food handler's license. So you're going to have food
That's okay.
manager and food handlers that have to be employed and have that license to be able to do that, whether it's pizzas or hot dogs or popcorn or whatever.
The thing about me is that I've been owning and operating businesses since 1991, and all those businesses have been highly regulated. They were credit card processing and ATM debit card processing, where we had millions of PIN numbers and lots of social security numbers. And so like, that's my background. I've always have like very regulated businesses. So like extra training and extra paperwork and compliance, that's all I've been doing my whole career. So we just added to the list of more
Well,
compliance
you may want
items.
to talk to Jen at the health department.
Sure, that would be great.
Because
Then
she'll
I'll
give
find
you
out what's
the
involved.
guidelines on what and your employees have to have, what you have to have, and what you have to do to comply with.
I will reach out to
regulation.
them to find out because
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any of that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Any other questions before I go back to Alderwoman Teague? Alderwoman Teague.
So, one question that I have is, do we have any cigar bars that the city regulates?
No.
Okay.
Are there any further questions, Alderwoman?
No, that was my only follow-up question, because my thought process was, cigar bars would be very similar.
Yeah.
So if we regulated those, what were our procedures for those? But we don't have any.
The best thing about this is that the state has so many regulations around cannabis, the dispensing of it, everything about it. And that's why if you allow it only in a dispensary, the people who own dispensaries, at least I am well trained on those compliance issues. And anything that I do, I'm thinking about those compliance issues. So it's not going to be hard to figure it all out because I lived it already. Plus, you have this Mundaline one where, like, the owner and the manager are like super nice and helpful, and they want to promote lounges too because they're in the industry and the industry wants to thrive. So,
I know the answer to this already, but for those who don't, which would probably be everybody else up here but me, if you ran into a compliance issue, how much is the fine per incident?
what? I don't know. I didn't. I think there was like one time I had to pay $500.
No, I'm saying under the CRTA, under Illinois cannabis law.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't had a recreational store.
Okay.
So I haven't had a store in a couple of years. All those things probably changed. Their auditors come in all the time.
Right. What I was going to say was because he brought up the compliance piece, and as everybody in here knows, that my business has been helping people get their licenses. So people like Mr. Zerman, the fines per incident are extremely expensive for a person in his position if they have an incident or issue, the type of cost that would put you out of business. So I think my point is to say that the compliance issues, like, that your concerns are, Alderman Purr, we are the least of his worries when it comes to the compliance piece, because if IDFPR were to find they were out of compliance, every single incident is a fine, and they are very, very, very expensive.
Yeah, we didn't have any problems.
Right. No, I'm sure you didn't, which is why you're able to sell it.
That's why I got another license. Right, exactly.
Well,
they don't get licenses,
Well, we thank you, Mr. Zerman, for
Thank
coming
you
to
again
talk to
for
the
all your
council.
time. I know I've taken up a lot of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good to see everyone again.
Nice to see you. Council, I do have to say to you, I've thought a lot about this, and I had some questions. My questions were answered, but I still have concerns, and therefore I couldn't possibly support this. I don't believe that our police department would either. I'm not sure how you can be in a place where people are smoking and consuming and then leave and not still have some kind of high. I don't see how that was taken care of. So I have to tell you, I would not support this, but obviously you all are the legislative body of this community. So ultimately you would make a decision, but I don't support it. Madam Clerk, do we have any other petitions, communications, or audience comments?
Yes, we do, Mayor. Vince Coors of Danville regarding a smoking cannabis lounge.
Mr. Coors, while you're coming up, it's good to see you again, sir. I know you've had a lot of health issues and we've been praying for you diligently. So it's nice to see you again.
Well, thank you, Mayor. It's been a trial, and with this coming up, I did contact the mayor months ago when I heard about the presence of an opportunity to smoke on site. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know anything about the social equity laws at that point. Did a little research into it. National Institute of Health says, and they work on dead bodies from accidents, that if you have THC in your system, your chances of being involved in that accident double. Sort of a not real clear situation. They argue amongst themselves how dangerous it is, but it becomes pretty obvious that sooner or later, whoever owns this facility is going to be involved in a lawsuit. And you guys are going to be right there with him. Because somebody is going to drive the wrong way on the interstate highway at 35 miles an hour, and there's going to be an accident. This council acted in November based on faulty information about the need to allow the awarding of the first of 3 additional marijuana outlets in Vermilion County. In Mayor Williams' justification, he said, the times have changed from 15 to 25 years ago, but the truth today is we are not voting on whether or not to allow it. The state has already allowed that, and that statement is not true. What the state did is authorize the presence of it if the county or city approves it. You people are the ones that have that power. And I think you dropped the ball last November. You maybe dropped it further back when you approved the first one. But the state is allowing the opportunity for communities with no scruples to chase the greedy dollar being dangled in front of you and prove that we're all hypocrites compared with what we're telling our children when we tell them, just, don't do it. Don't do drugs. And here we are approving or considering approving an additional step. There's a lot of comparison going on between bars and smoking situations. They're 2 totally different things. And if this were approved, to the best of my knowledge, this is the only place you could smoke in a crowd. There's 150 years of law behind operating a bar. Some of you probably been involved in operating a bar, and know all the legal east that goes with that. This is a whole new ballgame. And
Mr. Coors,
it's gonna have to grow.
Mr. Coors, I apologize, but your time has concluded.
You need to do what you've been telling your kids. Just say no.
Thank you, Mr. Coors. Just as a reminder, audience, you are allowed 3 minutes, and once you hear the buzzer, your your time is concluded.
Dr. Stephen Nacco of Danville regarding the 3 Kings of Peace Mentoring Center.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Stephen Nacco, 62 Shorewood Point, Danville, and President of Danville Area Community College. I am here today to speak as the community college. Community colleges aren't political. Community colleges should never be religious. And our endorsement is of this mentoring center is purely on the standpoint of it's good for Danville and it's good for Danville Area Community College. I've been here 6 years and I've gotten to see over the last 6 years the great work in our community in the name of peace, in the name of religion, in the name of just helping turn around human lives. Our students many of our students cite the Three Kings and the NAACP and some of our other organizations that are out in the community there and meeting people and turning around young people. So they end up with three basic messages. One is you need to see the truth, and the truth isn't gangs, and the truth isn't in drugs, and the truth is that is a pathway to a better life needs to be worked out for what you need to do in life. So the second thing is they give them hope, and hope has its concomitant, which is the third thing, is education. And it's somebody who is at a community college really needs to say, anyone that's an advocate for education and that pathway is one that we're going to support. So what we would do at Danville is we would do whatever is necessary to help that, to help nurture this. And we have our recruiter, who's by the name of Alexis Simmons, who already is bringing in some of our students to help design the place. So they're very excited about it. They want to make it a groovy 20, for 20s, millennial type people. So she's excited about it for recruitment. There might also be opportunities for us to help train people here. If we put a CNC machine in there, maybe we can help get young people as a pipeline to education. So that's on that end. But there's something else, and I really don't want to tell any of you your business. My business, again, is community college. When you have somebody in the community who has who is a pillar of the community, who has beyond the Three Kings, has been part of really a transformation in our neighborhoods, who walks the talk, or as they say, who has done it with the navigators for vaccinations, but also does it really to meet people and say, let's turn it around. When somebody like Reverend McCulloch says he has a dream, I personally will never take that as anything but something that I take it to heart. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nacko. I find it interesting. I understand that DACC had the opportunity to procure this building and passed on it because of the amount of work that needed to be done. So my question would be how much that is true according to your vice president, but I wonder how much DACC is willing to commit in terms of finances to building the project, considering that it's going to take $1 million or more. It's great to provide partnership support, in terms of programs, but in terms of building the facility to get it open, we need more than $1 million. So is DACC prepared to make a substantial financial commitment to this project? All right, thank you. Do we have any further comments?
No, we don't.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? All right, thank you very much. We do not have any zoning petitions. However, we do have the payrolls before you this evening of March 18th and 25th, as well as April 1st, 2022. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Byrd?
Yes.
Ludwig?
Yes.
Teague? Yes. Williams?
Yes.
York?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Wands?
Yes.
Bouchard?
Yes.
Iverson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
O'Kane?
Yes.
Poor?
Yes.
Streebing?
Yes.
Pickering?
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries. We also have before us the vouchers payable this evening for March 22nd and April 5th of 2022, as well as a special run for March 24th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
I have my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have questions. First question is we're on the vouchers payable, correct?
Yes.
Okay. On what page is this? 2 of 4.
for March 22nd. So I saw that we gave the profits from the Glow Run to Survivor Resource Center. My question is, what is, wait, I wrote the question. I can't get it open. Okay. How does the city decide which nonprofit receives donations from events that have a profit? And is there a process by which the non-for-profits would be able to apply or be considered?
After much discussion, we've decided that we will not be donating profits from events moving forward. This one was chosen because they have a Glow event. They were also a new business that we were welcoming downtown, and one of the things we're trying to do is support downtown businesses with the First Friday events, and also their mission is one we've heard talked about a lot with folks struggling with issues as a result of mental health and other things. So that's how we chose them to partner with them this time. But we have decided that we will likely not be donating profits to other entities in the future.
Okay. On April 5th, on page 2 of 7, I have a couple of questions. One is DGT expenses was the invoice description for payment to the Fisher Theater. What is DGT?
Danville's Got Talent.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. I didn't know what that stood for. And then the next one is also on that page for legal services. Was this related to Breesy Tower, or was it?
Yes.
Okay. And then I think it's the last one. Also on page 4 of 7, there was an assessment of the downtown parking garage. My question is, I have 2 questions. One, the reason behind the assessment, I can't remember if this came up before, it may have. And then the second is, would those results be shared with us?
Yes, ma'am. We noticed that we had some structural issues in the down ramp in the building, as well as a few other issues. So when we realized that, and given that we're also likely that we're going to be having additional downtown activity in terms of restaurants and other businesses, we thought instead of just spending money on one item, that we would assess the entire downtown parking to be sure that we have enough that's in proper locations, et cetera.
And those results,
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any further discussion or debate on the payables? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Bouchard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
O'Kane.
Yes.
Hoare.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
Burt.
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries. At this time, we will receive our Public Services Committee report. Chairman Streaming.
Well, thank you. Item 11A, the city clerk's report, and it looks like 11A1 is the approval of the licenses that you received in your packets. Anybody got any questions for Ms. Munson?
Get a motion to approve, Chairman.
Oh, I guess we'll need a motion. I'll make the motion that we approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. Need a second, please.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Alderman T.
I have one question, given the conversation previously. I Googled while he was up there on tobacco consumption and saw that tobacco premises that sell tobacco have the ability to allow consumption in their premises. Do any of these premises have consumption? No?
No,
Okay.
no, ma'am.
Not the one on Fairchild,
No.
the discount one that says we have a cigar shop to smoke in and.
I'm completely
by
unaware of
Carl.
that.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Just
It's
down by
east of
the,
Carl.
what's
East of
that,
Carl.
Hardee's
East of Carl.
Restaurant, one of those restaurants right down the street.
Between Hardee's
Walnut
and
On the
and,
north side.
I know what you mean, but no
Walnut
one,
Fairchild.
no one has been authorized to open.
Oh, that little shop there on Fairchild.
that advertised, we have an indoor cigar smoking.
Okay, yes.
Well, we'll have to send some officers over there to check that out.
I've been in there and I buy
according to state
cigars
law,
in
it's
there, but
legal.
I've never seen anybody.
Well, except that we would have to, my understanding is that we would have to permit it like we would with the smoke lounge. And we haven't authorized that, but I could be wrong, Alderman. T.
I didn't read it in detail,
Okay.
Yeah, but they do advertise
but it
like
but
that.
it is
It's
and it is
advertised
legal
like that.
by state law. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any other questions? If not, roll call, please.
Just a voice vote,
Oh,
Chairman.
voice. Okay, how about the voice vote then?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. 11B, the ordinance amending Danville City Code subsection 31.32C, public petitions and communications, which was amended. I will make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Do we have any questions on this? Yes.
Alderwoman Brown.
Yes, I do. I want to make sure that I understand this the way I see here where we've scratched out some under section 1C, that's been eliminated then. Okay. I just look at all these, I guess, are additions, and here on number 5, I was concerned about that. Speakers, C, number 5. Speakers will not be permitted to yield any portion of their speaking time to another person. What is that about?
When you are a guest in a meeting, you aren't generally permitted to yield your time. The council could yield time to someone outside of this, but the audience comments would not. I couldn't get up as a citizen and say,
Yeah, I can yield my time.
to Mrs. Brown,
Okay. And then same thing, like an alderman, I couldn't yield my time to someone from the public.
All that our corporation counsel addressed that comment.
Starting with the principle of public comment, obviously it's the opportunity for the public to speak. Let's say 5 people got up and each in a row said, I yield my 3 minutes to Mr. or Ms. whoever. And then that person would get however, 5 times 5 people, that person would have 15 minutes. That is prohibited would be prohibited under this draft. In terms of people who want to go beyond the 3 minutes, it's not a matter of a council member yielding time. It's a matter of, they would say, I'd like another 2 minutes, please. Then that should come to a vote to authorize that. Otherwise, there's no regulatory way. And my experience in my prior life down the road, people would just go on, and one council member would say, yeah, let them speak another 5 minutes, and another council member who liked what they were hearing would say, let them speak another 5 minutes. They should have, and what should happen here is if somebody wants to go beyond the 3 minutes, essentially ask permission of the council, not a council member, but of the council, and you would approve that by either voting yea or nay, a voice vote.
Okay, so then that.
And if you say, yes, I move to allow Ms. Jones to speak another 2 minutes, is there a second? If nobody seconds, it dies for lack of a second. That's the end of it. If there's a second, the mayor would call, or the chairperson of the committee would call, in that case, for a voice vote. And if it passes, the person would get 2 more minutes, and if not, that would be the end.
Okay, well, and I was thinking along those lines, that's the way it is. That's why, excuse me, when I saw that, I wondered, could we include that in here somewhere, just what you explained about how if a council member would want to hear more and they would motion to that effect, and there was a second, and then the full council approved, that person would have that extra time. I think that should be included in that.
That's part of Robert's Rules of Orders.
That's what I'm talking about.
But the rules that we have for the city council say that we'll be governed by Robert's Rules of Order. So we actually already have documentation that tells us that we would have to operate that way.
Okay, but I understand that, but I know, like here, I just think even though Robert Rules of Order says that, we have some other things that in our ordinances that Robert Rules of Order is already there. So what I'm saying is that I would say that it would be here for clarification. I know that Robert Rules of Order is set, and we have to abide by that, but I think for clarification, and can put it in there and put something, about because of this, it's in Robert Rules of Orders or something to that effect. I'm sure you would know legal terms, but I would think for clarification of this, for just that point, because it was unclear to me when I read it. That's why I'm asking that.
If the council directs me to make that change, I have no problem making the
I'm
change.
just saying, I thought it would make it a little clearer, because I understand about the 3 minutes and all that. I understand, but because of Robert Rules of Order saying that this
One
can
thing the
happen.
council should remember is when there's an ordinance, whether it's this one, let's say this passes,
Mhm.
or any other ordinance, and you want to deviate on a one-off
One-time,
basis, there's really only one way to do that.
Mhm.
And actually, the mayor is correct. I mean, yes, Robert rules, and that can
Mhm.
be a complex procedure,
Mhm.
but it's in practice, it's very simple, as
Mhm.
I explained. There's a motion to allow or,
Okay.
temporarily grant, or whatever the issue is,
Okay.
and then there's a vote of the council. And so
Okay.
you don't amend the ordinance per se, you're actually allowing a one-time deviation from the ordinance.
Okay, so at one time. So what if it would come up? So anytime this will come up, it'll be a one-time deviation, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we'd say,
Okay,
somebody
so
would say,
it's, in other words, we wouldn't have to put this in here for clarity, just use what Robert Rules of Order said. Okay, that's fine.
If you want to change this and let somebody speak more than 3 minutes, it's a simple motion, second, and then a vote, and that could be a voice vote. You don't need a
Okay.
roll call, unless you're in Zoom, of course.
Council, you did say that you would advise against that during the primary portion of the
Yes.
meeting, though. Could you explain that for us?
I mean, as far as authorizing or council, I'm
Well,
not sure.
having yielding time during the actual continuance of the meeting.
Well, I would strongly discourage allowing somebody of the public yielding their time, because you could end up, a whole group, and there are people who plan this out before they come in. They could bring in 10 people and yield their time,
Sure.
and one person can go on for 30 minutes. I don't think you would want that.
Corporation Counsel, I was referring to, you had advised us that it would be, you didn't think it's advisable for us during the discussion or debate, let's say on an ordinance or a
Yes.
resolution, for us to then yield our time to people that are in the audience,
No,
correct? That would be out of order.
Right, that would be completely out of order, because the items are on the agenda, and if somebody is concerned about making a public comment about something on the agenda, they can speak during their 3 minutes of public comment. Public comment, the purpose of public comment is to give the citizens and others, you don't have to be a citizen, an opportunity to express their thoughts to you. It could be ideas, it could be criticism, it could be whatever. And your obligation really at that time is to listen. I've experienced in city councils where council members start debating. That's why I included, this is not a time to debate. And it goes on for 2 hours.
Yeah, I understand that part. Yeah, and I know what public comments, are for, like I said, but I was just concerned on that part, because sometimes maybe if the person is something that really is going to affect the community in some type of way. I mean, we have no idea, somebody can come up with anything, and I just was concerned about, and I understand about yielding any of the portion time, speaking time, but why did all this come up all of a sudden?
It came up because prior to the last few meetings, public comment, full-blown presentations without invites. We had 2 tonight, but they were scheduled on the agenda. And public comment was just going on for quite a bit of time, well beyond the 3 minutes.
Okay.
And so trying to put in a little more precision in what's going to be allowed, how it's going to be allowed, and the overall policy of public comment, which is the concept in the Open Meetings Act.
Okay, now I'm going to follow up with this. What do we do then when people continue to talk and the bell has rang, the clerk has said, your 3 minutes is up, the mayor says it, and they continue?
As the chairman, it's my job, or whoever's chairing the meeting, it's their job to stop them. And if they continue, unfortunately, we might have to ask them to be escorted out.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. Because we put all this down, but people do it. And sometimes they may have some other issues that need to be heard at that time. So that's why I just wanted to see how do we handle this whole thing and why did it come up now?
And we already have Alderman Brown. The 3 minutes is already in our ordinance. As you
Right.
can see, a lot of it is already there. This is just trying to clarify it for the public so they can better understand.
Okay.
And also us as well. Clerk Monson?
I just wanted to clarify too, we also removed that they needed to provide their address. That
Yes,
was in
because
the previous language.
legally they aren't required to. So we
Okay.
wanted to make sure we were compliant with
Okay.
Illinois law too also.
Thank you.
Alderman Pickering, I think you were next.
Well, I have a question and okay, this is about when we're discussing the ordinance or the resolution. Can we not ask the committee chairman to recognize someone at that time? If we feel there's someone in the audience that has more knowledge to what we're talking about, can't we do that?
Right now, the way, I guess the chairman who runs the meeting or the mayor can, if somebody actually has some additional information, theoretically they could. This doesn't provide for that. Now, some communities, what they do is they will, they have their agenda. And I'm not saying whether you all should do this or not, that's your choice. But what some communities do is they ask, the clerk says, we have 4 people who would like to speak. And sometimes somebody wants to speak at the time the agenda item is going to be discussed, as opposed to the segment for public comment. And so those communities will let 3 minutes or however long their ordinance provides, let them talk at that time to provide input on that specific issue. A lot of communities don't do that. A lot of them, if somebody has a thought about a particular ordinance or resolution, they're going to speak up, express support or concern about it or opposition to it in public comment. And I'm sure you all will consider that when you reach that agenda item.
Well, and I guess I didn't make it clear. Can an alderman ask the chairman to recognize someone in the audience?
The way this is drafted at this point, that it's not clear. It's not stated in here in this.
Because sometimes you might have an audience member that can really, has more knowledge than any of us. And we'd like to hear from them, on the ordinance or on the agenda, on the ordinance or the resolution. So that is.
I asked in our last meeting for Dr. Nacko to speak. They shot me down.
Well, that was during audience comments. I'm talking about when you're talking about your ordinances and your resolutions.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Can we, and I believe I asked you about this.
According to Robert's Rules of Order, because I brought my copy with
Right.
me,
Right.
you can.
Right.
What does it say, Alderman T?
Right.
It says, this is under Section 33, requests and inquiries in connection with business in a meeting. Members may wish to obtain information or to do or have something done that requires permission of the assembly. Any member can make the following types of inquiry or requests. And one of them is for information. So parliamentary inquiry for information, for permission or leave to withdraw or modify a motion, to read papers, and for any other privilege. And then there's a section that goes on about for information. And I think that's the type of thing that
Right.
Alderwoman Pickering and Alderwoman Brown were speaking to.
Yes.
But those privileges and requesting information, it's not requesting information from the public. It's requesting information from the body or from a member, from a staff member.
Does not actually say specifically that it's from a member. It doesn't really specify it doesn't really specify.
All I can tell you is they don't in Congress allow Congress members to call on an audience member in the middle of discussion of a debate to come in and provide their 2 cents.
But we have precedent in this chamber that we have done that previously, is my understanding.
Yes.
And I would also imagine that in the instance where we're voting on something that is vitally important to the community, for example, if we had to vote on the new healthcare
location, that if we had a question that we would ask the CEO, that he could come and answer that question for us before we actually entertain that vote.
That's true.
But I think we already do that. I really do. There's been time they've come through discussion and we'll state, or the mayor has stated to them, then we'll get to this. If there's any other questions for you, would you please come back up? We've done that. So.
Right.
But
And
it's
I
when
think-
it's someone that's actually on the agenda for something being voted on. It's not just a random audience member who wants to give their thoughts or opinions on something.
Well, I think that my personal opinion is if the language was a little bit more specific, I don't think we'd have these questions, because right now the word speakers is very ambiguous. Because the note that I wrote was, is the word speaker applicable to the public or to council as well?
The word speaker is drafted here as applicable to the public, not the council.
Because
And if
this
the
is
word
about
public-
audience
Right,
comments.
and if the
It's
word
not
public
about.
was added, I think that would make it
clarity to it.
much more clear. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem.
And that's
Frankly,
was
I have
my
no problem
concern.
adding anything that you all want because it's your ordinance.
Well, I would entertain a motion that this be tabled until the next city council meeting, and that you all provide comment to Corporation Counsel Simon and myself by next Monday,
What date is that?
Monday, April 11th, on things that you would like to see changed about this ordinance. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a new motion on the table to table this. Any discussion on the motion to table? Yes, Chairman.
Just one thing, Mayor. Could we not just have it say that you may comment on anything on the agenda only, rather than people just being able to come up and speak anything they want to speak about?
No.
That leans towards censorship.
The PAC has clearly ruled that you can't limit public comment during the public comment to only agenda items.
Right.
Okay.
As I said, that's the time for the public to bring their thoughts to you all, whether it's on the agenda or not.
And that's something I agree with just in principle too. I feel like people ought to be able to come and say anything to us about things that are going on in Danville.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second to postpone this until April 11th, is it?
Well, you would provide your comments by April 11th and we would,
Next city council.
we would vote on it at the next city council. That's correct.
Anybody got any problems with that?
19.
Excuse me? Yeah. Okay, if none, roll call, please.
Alderman Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Burt,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
14 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries.
Okay. Puts us to 11C, a resolution authorizing a budget amendment to fiscal year 2022 through 2023, Office of Public Affairs, line item 13 in the budget. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Any questions on this? Roll call, please.
Alderman Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Burt,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes,
14.
motion carries. Thank you. Puts us to 11D, items of information. I don't really have anything for you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. At this time, we'll receive our Public Works Committee report. Chairman Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. 12A is a resolution approving the downtown TIF RIP grant application. Move to dispensary and ask for your approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? For clarity purposes, I do want to say that this is the mother of one of our employees. Miss Adele is here. I'm sure she would be happy to answer any questions if you have any, but I just want to make that clear. Seeing none, Chairman?
Okay. Was there,
Mayor.
was there a time frame on here? Is that like, you didn't go to committee?
they are trying to meet an opening deadline, and in order to, they're trying to get in with the contractor when the contractor can fit them in.
Right now, it's pretty hard. So you talk to a roofer or somebody right now, they're working on stuff from
Take 'em.
last year.
Take them where you can get them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? Hey, Mayor. Roll call.
Alderman York,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
Streaming,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
14 yes.
14 yes, the motion carries.
12B item of information, we'll be meeting again this next Tuesday at 6 in these chambers. Director, anything? Sam or anybody? All right. And the parks were busy this week, so it's nice to see people out enjoying our parks. Thank you very much. That concludes our
You want
report.
to talk about something being busy?
Thank you, Chairman.
You should have been downtown Friday night. Oh, my goodness.
I was.
Items of information. Go ahead,
Oh.
Chairman.
Sidewalks, food vendors, kids, Easter egg hunts, the petting zoo. It was well attended.
And even in the afternoon, I
Yes.
was downtown, and what I enjoyed was seeing these children so excited.
Yeah.
Kids were getting out of the cars with their parents and saying, wait, the kids, they just running and going to the petting zoo area, just all over, even far down as the Fisher were, I guess they were in that area when the children had their baskets. So I said, Danville is alive, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So I was happy when I see children and children are happy and they're thriving. We have hope, Danville. So I was
Amen.
excited for that.
I have to tell y'all though, Ashton and I were both a little bit nervous with the petting zoo. Okay, so every petting zoo I've ever been to, there's a fence, and then a fence, and then the animals, and you
No, they
reach
were
over
right
the
in it.
fence, or
Yeah.
you reach through the fence and you feed the animals. They let folks get in there with the animals, and I thought, how long is it until one of these little pygmy goats gets too hungry and butts a 2-year-old down? But thank the Lord, we didn't have any of that. So. We will have our next month's first Friday will be sweets in the streets and everything sweet that you can imagine, cookies, cakes, candies. Laney's ice cream is going to be having some specials.
just
It's
what
going
I
to be
need.
a lot of fun. And then I believe that lots of activities that Ashton, would you like to share any other things that are coming?
Oh, I'm really excited about the Sweet Adelines performing. That's something I'm really looking forward to. And then all the local vendors, the shop owners are going to each have jars of candy at their shops. And you go around and you'll get to guess how many candies are in each jar at each shop. And there'll be prizes and giveaways. And I think that'll be really fun too. I think it's going to be a really cute event. I'm excited.
I believe the Fisher Theater is going to be showing the original Willy Wonka that night.
Yes. And they'll have actors in costume there on site at the Fisher too for pictures. And that'll be fun too.
And the library, I think, is even going to have golden tickets. I don't know exactly what you'll win, but you're going to win something. So a lot of good things going on. Any other items of information for the good of the cause? Yes, Alderman Pickering.
Yes, I wrote this so I wouldn't forget anything, so I'm going to read this to you. Last month, myself and several Danville citizens attended and completed the Danville Citizens Police Academy. During the classes, they offered to ride along with the police officers, which really opens your eyes to what the police officers has to deal with. We had several interesting speakers that informed us of how the city and county run their departments. In the Danville Police Department, not only do they have their daily policing routine, but they are assigned to special units. For instance, there's an emergency response unit, POP unit, K-9 unit, housing unit, just to name a few. And with this comes special training. Learning about gangs, how our city is dealing with them, and how we as citizens can recognize some of the signs that are gangs that are related to the gangs. We also did fingerprinting and how to lift prints from different surfaces. We learned about the K-9 unit, how the dogs are trained and taken care of. But one of the most challenging classes was a virtual training class where we were put in different shooting scenarios. The different scenarios opened your eyes to what our police officers go through in shootings, how they have to evaluate the surroundings and make split-second decisions that could mean a matter of life or death. I would like to thank our police department and especially to Officer Long for making this class possible. This is a class I would highly recommend for any of our citizens and especially for our aldermen and alderwomen to take. The academy is held once a year, usually after the first of the year, and the police will let us know when that date is. And I would just like to thank our police department for the great work that they do in our city. Thank you.
Very good. Good.
Did you get tased?
I did not get tased.
Fun.
Do it once.
But I won't tell you what I shot when they give me the, gun to shoot.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
I shot the light out in the ceiling.
At least you didn't hit a hostage, Mrs. P. Any other items of information for the good of the cause? Seeing none, having satisfied the agenda, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Did y'all do your test?
Okay. Let me know if there's any questions.
But guess what?